he has this sort of comb over thing going on over here. We can clearly see that he has a profound amount of hair loss. So I'm assuming this sort of comb over that he has is covering his midsection, because his midsection probably is. So let's go on to the third picture in the camera roll. You know, it's kind of like a jump scare, if I'm going to be honest with you, right? We go from this to suddenly, damn. Hey guys, before we continue this video, I would like to mention that we now have liposomal minoxidil sulfate on my website, folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com, and if the order queue is available and open, you can order it there. We're running it as a cosmetic. There are other sort of botanicals inside of this particular topical that are pretty helpful when it comes to conditioning the hair. So that's at folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com. That's FOLLIGENZ.com. Go check it out and maybe even try it out. See you there. Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another hair progress review video. So we're back on the tressless hair loss subreddit, the most popular online forum when it comes to tracking and discussing the topics of hair loss. So we're looking at this particular user by the name of Zeeyaa, Zeeyaa, and his post is titled, quote, 2.5 years fin/min progress pictures, unquote. Now, we're going to look into the comment section because he didn't include any sort of description here. But let's just first see his progress pictures, and then we can possibly find out what he used. Did he use oral finasteride, oral minoxidil, or did he use a combination topical of both? So let's take a look. This is his baseline, and he has this sort of comb over thing going on over here. We can clearly see that he has a profound amount of hair loss. So I'm assuming this sort of comb over that he has is covering his midsection, because his midsection probably is very, very diffuse, if not, probably certain areas completely bald. But we can see that there's a lot of scalp show. But he has a decent amount in his donor area, at least from what I can see in this sort of top-down picture of his head. So moving on to the next picture. So the next picture is more or less the same as the first photo that we saw. So it's probably just, he's wearing the same clothing, so it might just have been taken on the same day, for all we know. And yeah, just another sort of look at his scalp. In this sort of view, I can see that he has this sort of Norwood 5 kind of appearance with a diffuse crown, a damn near, bald crown, and his hairline is very, very much pushed back. He has this sort of forelock that's kind of thinning out a bit, and he's doing this sort of comb over to kind of, again, give a sort of coverage appearance to his midsection. So let's go on to the third picture in the camera roll. It's kind of like a jump scare, if I'm going to be honest with you, right? We go from this to suddenly, damn, he's back to normal. And if anything, this is a really good picture because he's standing under some pretty harsh lighting and you can barely see his scalp. Like, guys, come on, look at this. Day and night. From this picture all the way to this picture over here being the third photo in the camera roll. So I'm assuming this is after 2.5 years on the finasteride minoxidil combo. And again, like I said, we're going to look in the comment section to see if he made any sort of comments pertaining to whether or not he used a topical or oral combination of some kind. But I'm going to be honest with you, this is a really, really good recovery. And 2.5 years, I would say, I don't know, to be honest. Like, this is maybe hyper-responder category, but given the length of time, there is a chance that you can make a sort of recovery like this. And the reason why I say this is because if we look back to his initial photo, right? Let's have a quick look here. we can see that some of the follicles, although they are producing maybe one hair per follicle, and those hairs are kind of thin and wispy, they're still metabolically active to some extent. So all you need is some kind of hyper responsivity, if that makes sense, hyper responsiveness, I guess you can say, to either minoxidil or finasteride in order for you to get this sort of response that you have over here. But to be honest with you, 2.5 years, I think it's a realistic turnaround time if he's a hyper responder to at least topical minoxidil or oral minoxidil. Again, we will find out later on what he used. But this is a phenomenal recovery. It almost looks like he could have done a hair transplant, so that also might be something he may have done, but he probably didn't include that in the description of his post. Or maybe he didn't do a transplant at all. We'll check it out shortly. So let's go see the other photo in the camera roll. Okay, so this is a sort of, a different angle. Now we can see a bit more of the hairline, but we can also see the midsection is very, very dense. It's very, very full. It's, it's packed up. And I'm not seeing any sort of, sneaky comb overs that he did initially. So if I were to take this photo over here and then come over here, if we compare the two, like I don't see him doing any sort of sneaky comb over here, to be honest with you. It just looks like a typical, sorry, in this photo, he's doing a sort of sneaky comb over, but in this photo over here, if you're looking at the screen, this just looks like he made a decent response to the drug. Now we can see that his hairline is a bit pushed back still, right? And that's, part of the treatment. You're rarely going to make significant hairline gains, and if you do, you're part of a significant minority. But in this case, he was able to make most of his gains in the midsection and crown area of his scalp, as we can see from the third picture in the camera roll. Let's just get a closer look at that. So that's a really, really good progression that he made in just 2.5 years. Again, I would say that maybe he's a hyper responder to whatever minoxidil he used, and maybe, that in conjunction with a typical finasteride shedding cycle was able to revitalize some of the metabolically active hair follicles in his midsection, as we've seen in this particular photo over here at his baseline. He still has some thin wispy hairs here and there, and they were still metabolically active enough to give him this sort of recovery. And, all the props to him. Congratulations to him. Now let's see what he actually used. So for that, let's go to the comment section. So let's see. Somebody asks the question, this particular Reddit user known as Interesting Candy 245, he asks the question, topical or oral minoxidil? And Zia responds topical. Interesting Candy 245 asks the question, is it too much of a hassle to apply it daily? I'm on oral fin and I don't want to spend too much time on my hair loss routine. How was your method? So Zia responds by saying, I do it before bed every night while swishing my mouthwash, dries quick, and then I'll shower in the morning if I'm going to work or whatever. Sometimes I won't, and it can sit even longer. So it's, in my opinion, when you're using these topicals, look, it's a couple seconds out of your day just to apply something that can help your hair look better. So it's a commitment. So let's not blow it up and make it seem like you're doing, a complicated task where you have to rub a thick ointment into your scalp and leave it on for 40 minutes and then you have to wash it out. That's not what you're doing. It's a simple topical that you have to use. I can understand if drying is the issue, right? Because maybe you want it to dry before you do anything else, but for the most part, just a couple of seconds to a minute max in your day. And you already brush your teeth and, shower, so hopefully you can incorporate that somewhere in your route. Some other user asks a question, quote, do you know the fin percentage? Is it 0.3% or less? Okay, so I guess this guy's using a combination of topical finasteride and topical minoxidil. And the concentration of topical finasteride he's using, Zia, the OP who had this fantastic result, is 0.3%. So that's pretty good. I've seen people use as low as 0.1% topical finasteride, get phenomenal results. I personally have friends who use that low of a concentration daily, and they get fantastic results, right? Alongside with 5% or even 7.5% topical minoxidil. You have some people who are saying you saved yourself, and Zia's like, yeah, totally wish I started sooner, but happy I started when I did. And to be honest, this is a crazy improvement, even if it's just 2.5 years. The reason why it's crazy is because the midsection just revitalized. The metabolically active hairs over time, as DHT was reduced, they transitioned from their thin, wispy, vellus state, their miniaturizing state, and they went back to an intermediate, if not maybe a terminal kind of hair appearance. So he's able to properly style his hair, properly get some decent coverage. He doesn't have to do this sort of comb over thing that he did when he didn't start treatment, right? So this is just a fantastic recovery overall. One of the best recoveries I've seen, but I only cover really good recoveries, to be honest with you. And over here, again, just another angle of his hairline and his mid-scalp. It looks dense. It looks fantastic. It's amazing. Now, let me try to F3 to see if anyone suspects he had a hair transplant. So I guess somebody's asking him if he would consider a hair transplant. But this is what's kind of odd, right? And maybe not odd, but maybe a bit of a warning to people out there. If you haven't tried treatment yet, don't jump to a hair transplant, because here's the thing. It looks like he didn't get a hair transplant. So he did not get a hair transplant. This is just from treatment. Now, if he got a hair transplant, right? What would have happened essentially would be that he would have damaged these hair follicles, right, in the midsection along the hairline. And those are hair follicles, many of which that could have been recovered with treatment. So if anything, he's destroying the density and he's getting less hair overall in that particular area, right? So actually doing treatment first for 1 to 2 years to give you an idea on how you're responding is the best thing you can do before you do a transplant, because now he doesn't have to use as many grafts to essentially, let's say, maybe fill up his hairline, right? He doesn't have to use that many grafts along his hairline. If he wanted to get a Norwood 1 appearance, he could do it. All he has to do is just just continue taking his medication, his hair loss stack, and he should be good to go. But guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I love this picture over here because it's just such a clear embodiment on the progress that he made. But yeah, that's it for the video. And guys, like I've been saying for some of the other sort of hair loss review videos, I have a company that I started, and we're selling liposomal minoxidil sulfate at a 10% concentration and a 5% concentration. Yes, that is Sulfogens, that's the brand name, and you can get it at folligens.com, folligenz.com/shop. And of course, you can check it out and buy it if it's still in stock. Right now, we have 268 out of the 300 that we initially had for this particular 10% concentration of the liposomal minoxidil sulfate 60 milliliter solution, and it dries relatively quickly. There's no propylene glycol and no other drying alcohols in either the 5% and the 10% concentrations. So go check it out. Link in the description below. And yeah, hope to see you guys there. In any case, thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.